Well, I had a busy day today. I bought a new iPhone. I've never had an iPhone, or rather,
Yeah.
I one arrived, and I had to go get it set up. Yeah, we're live, by the way, Scott.
Okay.
And
I figured.
took about an hour to to have these people do all the things necessary, and it
Yeah.
was you know, just showed me that I absolutely couldn't have done it on my own. It was just too new, and also too many problems, all waiting to just melt me down completely if I tried to do it myself.
Okay.
So I got it
So.
all done. I've got the iPhone 13,
Oh, okay.
and
Nice new one.
there it's a fairly new one, I guess.
You got
And
good
it's
camera.
you,
How good's the
you,
camera?
you I don't know. Well, I looked through it for a still shot today. It looked pretty good.
I was gonna
So
say,
I'll check it out. It looks like it's still got the little films on it. I'll leave them on until I'm actually actively using it. So yeah, that's cool. That's exciting. I may be drawing on the. Oh, if I'd thought about it, I would have gotten a Apple case for it that would have had some place for my pencil. I'll look
uh,
into that later.
I bet you can get an aftermarket one pretty reasonable.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
And other than that, I started to watch V for Vendetta. Oh, Nasser has a quick plug. He wants us all to know, and I have read this story for him and gave him notes on it. That Creepsters launches on Indiegogo tomorrow, and it's a pretty good effort from Nasser. It's kind of could easily be a teenager, that alternate universe that goes on with teenager stories where you never even see an adult. It's just all their problems.
Oh yeah.
So it's
That's how it felt like when I was a kid.
mm-hmm,
You know.
sure,
And
sure,
yeah,
and somebody that
still.
does that really well is almost guaranteed success because that's who sees movies. If you
Yeah.
if you put out something that speaks to that age group, you got it.
Yeah. I would agree.
And
Would.
we're sharing, and Scott may want to take the.
So if you've watched us live for, and it's been a while, but I originally, or for a long time, I was working on a book called Heaven's Rejects, and it's about three angels that get kicked out of heaven. They come to earth, and they basically fight, demons and supernatural kind of creatures here on earth. And the art that Ellis is sharing is the cover. Now, I didn't do the cover. We hired an artist named Alex Monique, Monik, I guess. And she did that cover. I hadn't heard of her. And the last I heard, we were having a different kind of cover. And the writer, I don't know if he discovered this girl or discovered she had time or decided to pay her. Or I don't know what this surprised me out of the blue. And he sent me that sketch that I shared with Ellis last weekend. And I was just like blown away with how much I liked it. And then today I got little bits of it, of the figures. I got the black girl in red up front at first, and this is the main characters of the story, and these are the angels that get kicked out of heaven and come to earth. I've been telling people it's a combination. It's Charlie's Angels meets Hellboy. Not
Mm-hmm.
accurate, but close enough to kind of get the vibe that we're going for. It's a really fun comic. It's going to come out from Source Point Press. Everybody that's seen the cover has just been gaga over it. And I'm really happy with it because I don't like covers that when you get them they look dramatically different from what's on the inside. Now, obviously, this is painted. I don't work painted,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I don't think this is too far off of what the interiors look like. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We had, I mean, and anybody can argue and say, well, this is a lot better than you can do, or whatever. But if you strip away the I think they did a good job or she did a good job of representing the characters. Not exactly how I drew them. The main character, the black girl, uh, she I always drew with a big poofy afro because it takes place in the 70s. We never
Mm-hmm.
out explicitly, but it was drawn and written and conceived with the idea that it would take place in the 70s. And so she has kind of well, of course now that's kind of come back, but kind of a Pam Grier look, in the comic. And I think, or that's kind of what in the back of my head I was going for. And then the blonde on the left, because it's Charlie's Angels, always pictured her as Farrah Fawcett. And the girl on the right, I didn't really have a good model for her in my head, but anyway, I think the cover looks excellent. Very happy with the cover. I mean, like I said, everybody's been nuts about it. Everybody's seen it. They're really happy with it. Happy with it,
Mm-hmm.
and he is committed to doing all 4 issues and the trade paperback. So, I feel like we have a cover that's going to attract attention. I think the book is great. It's a lot of fun. I think it's going to sell. Like I joked with my boss, I said it's going to make me really, really rich, and I can leave this joint. No,
Yeah,
no. I mean,
it will do as well as it does, and it's you put in
yeah.
just an incredible amount of work on it, and it's kind of cool that so much of what you did, you kind of we monitored it here. That was kind of neat. I mean,
Yeah. If you look back on Ellis's
the
YouTube channel,
stream,
yeah, you probably need to go back about a year because
yeah,
let's see, yeah, at least to 2020. Maybe there may have been. I'm trying to remember exactly when I finished it up, but a year ago I was working on issue 4, and it's been done. And because of COVID, and I hate to say the girl that's coloring it, which is a different artist than this artist, has spent about 4 or 5 months doing it now. She has also got a gig working for DC, so I don't think she's on the 4th issue, and I don't know. I don't think we're waiting on her necessarily, but it's taken a while. But I mean, it took me a while to draw it. I'm not gonna lie. Doing that was. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you, Ellis, I felt like it was going to kill me. Not necessarily from the work, but just it was like if I put this much effort into something and I draw, however many pages I drew, close to 100 pages. There were 22 pages of book, and this doesn't at least get published. Something happens and this goes awry, which I wondered about because there'd be long swaths of time where I wouldn't hear from anybody.
yeah.
I was like, I don't have energy. I quit. I cannot do comics. I shouldn't because I've done so many things that have crashed at the last minute, and it's like, man, if this doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
Get published, I don't have energy in me to do this. I mean, this is my bet.
Well, no. It's this kind of thing can break, the creative direction of somebody. Like the guy that did Brazil. What's his name? Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
He said before he cannot even visualize putting the amount of effort into making a film that he put into Brazil ever again. It was just it comes to a point, and you just can't make yourself do certain things where you didn't get some sort of reward for it.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I think it's like they always said about having a baby. Once you have the baby, you forget about how bad it was leading up to that. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I think with this, like the book is, when the book comes out, I will immediately forget how much work it was.
Yes.
And
yeah.
But my goal. I mean, seriously, and I showed this to like people at work and stuff. I said, my goal, because they were like, oh, this is great, da 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 da. And I said, my goal is for the comic to do well enough that we either do something else or we do a sequel. I don't really. I mean, obviously everybody wants to make money or whatever, but I don't really care about that. Money's never been a motivator for me for anything, at least since I was a kid. But as an adult, because it's fleeting, and something like comics is a I think is a thing of passion. You could tell the people are in it just because they think it's going to be a good payday or whatever, and I think it shows. And this would never have gotten done if I was just like wanting to do a payday, because if I didn't get paid, I made a dime on. In fact, I paid for the
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay for half of the colors, and
Mhm.
it's I'll send off a check for I don't know $1,200 or $1,000 or something sometime the next couple of days, So I haven't made any money on it, but man, just to see it, I mean, just to see the covers, like holy cow, how can this not be a real thing? How
Yeah.
at this point it's like it's got to get done. I mean, everybody's just too. And my goal, I was telling my coworkers, like, man, you'll be awesome if like issue if we put it out and then like the trade paperback debuts at San Diego,
Mhm.
how that be? And next year I get to go to San Diego and my book comes out and it's popular. Oh, and the trade comes out. I mean, that would be phenomenal, man.
That would be something else. That and people, well, people understand that make movies understand that just how much it takes to, s- you know, stick with something to see that it finishes, because so much that gets done in movies gets shelved, cut, just tossed, just forgotten about, uh, and even
Yeah.
in there, the effort
Well,
and the intensity and the expense has been even higher. In video games, I can tell you for sure that, especially during the early days when we were doing like the Genesis stuff, it was very easy for these people to say, you know what, this still isn't fun. We're going to quit this and we're going to start doing this with you people's time. And that would happen, and you would have been paid for a year's worth of work at that point on something. And even if it wasn't something that was ever going to see the light of day, because it's got to be, there's so much that you just cannot put out a half finished anything in a video game. It's got to be
no,
done. And in the
yeah.
same way with this comic book, it's got to be the final polish has got to be done on it before it sees the light of day.
I think the recent Cyberpunk is a perfect example of a game that probably was released before it was ready. And I haven't played it, but from what I've read, everyone is just ripping it apart that it was an incomplete game when it was released. And
Mm-hmm.
and people know when they play a game if it's not done.
Yeah, yeah. Get all their collision issues and little glitches and fun
Yeah,
little bugs.
I don't know what the exact beefs were, but yeah, a lot of people have after the fact have said it's not really ready for prime time. You
Yeah.
know. Anyway, that's the cover to my comic. I'm
Well, congrats on that. And like I was saying on the artist is obviously a very experienced talent, because one of the things she's doing that is just absolutely bold is the use of saturated color. A lot of people just you stick a saturated color on the palette, and it's like it sticks out like really bad, and it's like, ooh, that looks unnatural. She has used it, and it's eye popping where she's used it, and it feels just right. Her clouds are saturated and the costumes are saturated. It's really good.
yep, I'm very happy with it. I think it'll do. I think the cover will catch enough attention and is not so. Sometimes you see these comics and they got a really nice cover and then you open it, you're like, ooh, what happened? And I don't think this, even though it's really, really good, and it's a good cover, I don't think it's one of those cases where people will look at the art and go, "Ooh, what happened?" I mean, I think the art.
Cyberpunk released with a bug that showed the character's junk. Now that's interesting. That seems like that could have been avoided.
Don't you have to model it for it to show up?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. What model maker did that without getting some sort of feedback? Like, does he really need that anatomy there? What are we going to be using that for? Why don't we revise that model?
Well, you know how artists are.
Yeah.
And that right there, I would chalk up on management because.
Well, that's cool. I mean, they after all do have the physics down to where you can do cloth that would hang naturally in terms of like if it were placed over that in 3D. Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, artists are they get bored sometimes, and whoever's in charge has to rein them in. I have to do it at work. They were goofing around at work today about something or another, and it was like, okay, guys, I could tell it's late in the week, but settle down.
Huh.
Anyway, man. So I'm on this again. I said that this is.
Let me make our screens bigger here. We'll take this art off now.
Yeah.
There you go. And I'll solo you.
Yeah, the solo.
There you go. How about that? Oh, you're working on the big fight scene again?
Well, so this is my story. Okay, so I think I've talked about this. I've kind of worked on this off and on all summer. It's a story. My idea was because when I was a kid, I used to get comic books from my grandma that she took to garage sales and get comic books. And so I'd get like a random issue of like the Fantastic Four or something. And I had to read it and kind of decipher what was going on. But it was really cool because back then you could do that. You'd get one issue and it'd be like, you could kind of figure out, even if you were unfamiliar with any of the characters. And so I want to imitate that. And so my idea is I want to imitate that in a comic book, in a new comic book, one of my comic books. And I'm in love with Marvel Comics during the Bronze Age. And so I'm going to do this, and it's going to be an issue, and it's got a plot, but it's got subplots in it, and the subplots get answered within the comic. So it's the thing I would compare it to is maybe something like Pulp Fiction, where the time moves back and forth, but by the end it all comes together. And it makes this story, and so I'm going to work on this now. I don't know if I mentioned this. Our friend Mike Kennedy, I was telling him about it at OFCON, and he kind of came up with a perfect name because I was telling him, I wanted it to be kind of feel like a comic from 1977, and he said, "Why don't you call it 70?" He said, "Why don't you call it 1977?" But I think I'm just going to call it 77.
Now, 77. I like that.
And it's never going to. You like 77 or 1977?
77. Sunset Strip.
Okay. I'm just going to call it 77. And it's going to be, I'm going to do it, like I said, like a comic from 1977. And it's going to be just if you picked up a random comic from then and you didn't know any of the characters or anything like that, and how it would pan out or how it would read. But I want it to have subplots, but I want it's a completely self-contained story. So I drew that sequence with the guy in the airport, and he gets in the taxi and he goes to Times Square, and then there's a big explosion, and this is going to kind of lead up to that, and so what's happening here is I have kind of like a Captain Marvel like character, He's going to be in space. She's going to see the spaceship. She's going to confront it, and they're going to say, and they're going to fry her, basically. That's what's going on here. And then you're going to see the interior of the ship, and there's going to be some guys in dark, and then they're going to launch this pod, and that's what's going to be what crashes. And I was kind of working on this, and then I kind of got sidetracked, and I got distracted. But I don't know if I'm going to publish this. At the very least, I'm going to self-publish it. I haven't decided to what level. I don't know if it'll be a black and white comic. I'd love to do it as like a full-color comic. I even want to do it where it's got ads in it, like fake ads and stuff in it. So I'll make some. I've been kind of got a little deal in my sketchbook where I've been laying out like fake ads and what I need to do as far as that goes.
I always like that kind of stuff. I always like fake ads are fun. Usually, they can be.
Yeah, I have to be careful because obviously I can't use like sea monkeys or anything like that because. Yeah. But I mean, I have many comics from that era. Like, and on the back, I got this idea. I want to do like a movie poster for some like cheesy, like science fiction movie that you might. When Star Wars came out, there were tons of like cheap science fiction movies, and so I'm just going to make one. Some, just like, what if Roger Corman made
Battle Beyond the Stars, Galaxy of Terror. I just rewatched Galaxy of Terror. That was it's quite a cool flick for its time. Yeah, I had James Cameron on it. What? You said James Cameron, didn't you?
No, I said it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah, cool. I didn't know it was on Amazon Prime. I found it on Tubi, the Tubi channel.
I think it's Tubi, but whatever.
Okay, Tubi. I was fat shaming somebody's channel.
I resent that.
Anyway. Let's see, what else was I going to bring up today? Oh, yeah, you mentioned the OFCON. I got this today from John Woolley with a couple of nice notes in it, obviously acknowledging he knows who I am. And thanks. I got it because of his newsletter that I'm a subscriber to. I suggest everybody
Ellis, I'm sorry I didn't see you at OFCON.
What's that?
It said, Ellis, I'm sorry I didn't see you at OFCON. That was a choice.
Was Woolley there?
Oh, yeah.
A good man, for Ellis Goodson, a good man of many talents, or merry talents. I can't tell if it's many or merry. No, it's many.
Probably many.
Yeah.
I'm
all best from your friend, incomprehensible squiggle, and then it's dated. But Woolley, along with his friend Ron Wolf, wrote, it's weird, you talk about the zeitgeist. They wrote the year it came out, the Freddy stuff, the stuff about Freddy Krueger that director came out with that year. What was the name of that? Nightmare on Elm Street. They did a book called Old Fears that just was down the line, the big concept of Nightmare on Elm Street that year. I mean, we're talking, it's amazing. And they had a pretty nice hit with it for that time and that era that they came out with that. But anyway, I've got a link in the stuff down below that takes you to Woolley and his friends. Michael, can you think of his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, they're Forgotten Podcast. You've heard those, haven't you?
I have not heard
Forgotten Horrors. Forgotten Horrors. Well, anyway, I highly recommend the Forgotten Horrors podcast. They're a lot of fun to listen to. If you're an old movie buff and you're into films that nobody's watching nowadays.
That's a shame. I mean,
well, what with Amazon Prime, what's funny is Woolley and J. Michael Price, maybe. They're always talking about where they found a good copy of it, and it's usually like YouTube or it might be on Prime, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these old movies are being, they haven't disappeared. You can dig them up.
Forgotten Horrors is the name of it.
Yeah, and I've got a
Okay.
link to it down below.
I wrote it down, so I will look it up.
It's cool. I'm copying some Kirby right now, and the guy's ability to just like draw and crop right when he runs into where he feels like it should end or whatever. And you know, it's no doubt kind of random. He just drew that arm. That's the thing though. And I used to, I guess, get kind of boring. I said, I'd give somebody a critique. I said, you let the edge of that page push you around, because they quit drawing in proportion because they felt like they were running out of room. And I'm looking at everything on this Kirby page has weird crops right in the middle of somebody's hand and right in the middle of a foot. And, you know, that's where he was drawing as big as he wanted to for the emphasis he wanted. And then that's all that's important. Everything else that isn't in that panel is incidental. It gets cropped. And so, that's something you don't even realize you're doing it until you get that understanding that it doesn't matter. Draw the thing that's important that you're depicting, and let all of it fall where it may. And of course, but Kirby has got a big natural instinct for composition that doesn't let him down, that somebody else may have a little more of a problem with. You know, in terms of like how they're composing their poses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
the
it's hard.
The 10,000 hours times 10,000 is what Kirby's got going for him. You know.
Oh yeah, he did 10,000 hours his first 2 weeks in comics. But yeah, I mean,
did you continue your Kirby study? Did you do any more of it in your sketchbook?
I did some more stuff. I've got a book coming in the mail tomorrow from Tomorrow's called New Gods and Old. It's Tomorrow's examining Kirby's Fourth World and basically all his God comics, but specifically
New Gods. Yeah.
I got that big thick omnibus, man.
I just happened to have bought I forget, about $6 or $7 worth of that on Comixology myself on New Worlds or New Gods.
Oh yeah.
Just bought that yesterday.
Oh yeah, I got that anthology or the omnibus. It's got all of it, and it's in the order that it came out, which is what I really like about it. So you can read it as it was on the stand. You can read it as it came out on the stands. It's not broken up by a title, so it's pretty cool. Definitely ahead of the curve, that guy was.
Oh yeah. And what else have I got written down? Oh, V for Vendetta. Someone finally intrigued me with enough of a synopsis on that movie that I got it from the library, and then right away it's got some sort of glitching, and I've had this happen with library stuff before. It just skips, or for that matter, just hangs up and won't advance. And so I got bugged by it, and I said, you know what, I'm getting into this. So I went ahead and spent $4 and rented it on Amazon. So I'll probably watch it tonight. So I had a free library copy, but
big spender. You could have brought
yeah.
from me.
But then it was, I guess it's too big a seller. It got its scratches.
Oh yeah, well that happens with library copies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you get what you pay
So
for.
the other day we had that bad weather. On the way to work, I had a flat tire.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think you told me about this in the email, didn't
Yeah,
you?
okay. Maybe and then, well, my tire pressure light went off on my car, and so I pulled over and I checked, and at that point it was just raining. But I pull over, and one of the tires is a little low. They're all off a little bit, and I'm like, man, you never know exactly because my car just tells you got a low tire. It doesn't tell you which one or anything like that.
Well, I remember this.
So,
What the thing is, you got a flat when you were given a kind of a good bill of health earlier, weren't right?
well,
The guy
okay. So
told
what?
you it was
Here's what happened.
nothing.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So the tire never went flat. The light came on,
Mm-hmm.
and I checked it because I have a tire pressure gauge in my car, and I checked it on the way to work, and one of them was low, but I didn't know if it was going flat or you don't really know what's going on. So, like Michelle's car will tell you the constant tire pressure. So I didn't really know what was going on. So I was like, well, and I drove it about half a mile, and it seemed to lose about half a pound of air because I drove it to a place where I could actually get air, and it seemed to lose about half a pound. And I'm like, what the? So I then uh, went to the repair shop. I waited like 40 minutes. When I checked it again, it was even lower. And so they checked it. They said, well, they decided that it wasn't doing anything. Well, then when I went out, oh no, they were all low at that point because the tires had cooled off. Okay. So they said, well, they don't think anything's going on. So I'm like, okay. So I go back to work and I'm like, I'm going to check it at lunchtime. So I check it and it's lower. And I'm like, man. So I go up there and they pull it off. Well, when they pull it off, they discover that my wheel studs have been cross-threaded. Well, back in
Mm.
April, I bought tires at that place. And I'm like, you're the only ones that have had that tire off. And so I got to go I got to go Tuesday to take it. They said, well, if you take it to this shop, we'll pay for it to get it fixed. And I'm like, well, I want to check all of them because I bought 4 tires.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do I know you didn't off? Because they couldn't get one of the studs off, Ellis. And I was like, man, if I'd tried to change it,
Mm-hmm. You would have been stuck.
I would have been stuck. Well, I have AAA, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'd have been okay, but it'd have been a mess. So in that one they didn't put back on, so I'm missing a wheel stud on one of my wheels or a nut. So
This is on your new Subaru.
on my fairly new Subaru, 2017. Anyway, so I call this place to make an appointment, and they kind of are like, well, you need to leave it. And I said, well, can I make an appointment? They said, oh, well, we won't really make an appointment for that. We'll just kind of do it as we can during the day. And I'm like, well, crap. I'm going to wait on it, And the guy's like, well, that's probably not the best idea. So anyway, so I had it for Friday, and then I thought, well, I talked to Michelle, and she said, well, I could take you by if you go by next week because we're going out tomorrow night for Michelle's birthday. My family is at 6, and I'm like, what if they don't get the car done until 6? And we're like, sorry, we're late. So Michelle's gonna take me by there Tuesday on the way to work. And tomorrow, did I tell you I'm buying my dad's truck? Or
Yeah, you told me that you're going to be another mini truck driver, just like you're going to join the ranks. Since I've you had one, you say you've had one before, huh?
Yeah, I had an Isuzu pickup before. I think it was a Isuzu. I think they just called it may have been a pup. I don't know. It's been a while. It was back in the 90s. and I always liked it. That one had some mechanical issues. Specifically, the cruise control would stick. It stuck out one time. She had to turn the car off on the highway. It was fun, but it was limited because it didn't have an extended cab. It was just a regular pickup. My dad's is which for anyone listening that doesn't know, my father passed away in March, and my nephew has been driving this thing since before Dad died. But he does not need a pickup, doesn't want a pickup, so he finally got his own car and returned it. And I told Mom I'd be interested in buying it. Now my brother was supposed to go half with me, but I think he's backed out for whatever reason. And the bad thing is I don't have a garage spot for it, but I'll keep it in the driveway.
Keep it on the street, yeah.
You know, it might be it's only got 17,000 miles on it, so I think it's going to be a little pricey, but whatever. It won't be that bad.
Well, is that what you're doing, or are you just taking up payments on it or something?
No. It's been paid off forever.
Oh, okay.
It's 2015. But yeah, I mean, I'll have to work out a deal with Mom because I mean, she's not giving it. I mean, I don't think my siblings would appreciate me getting the truck. But I mean, I don't think I have to fork over the money immediately. I want to drive for a little bit and see if I like it. If I don't like it and I decide to sell it or that I don't want it and Mom wants to sell it, I'll probably help her figure out what to do with it, But she's already said she doesn't want it in the garage, just because. Well, one, she said it made her kind of weird to come out and see it. And,
yeah, see somebody's. Yeah, that was part of my motivation of getting rid of a lot of the stuff that was around here. You don't want to be reminded of, people every day. You don't want to be bumping into. It basically haunts you. Yeah, you don't want to be haunted by this and that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. So so we're gonna, and I'll definitely. I mean, I want a truck, but I hadn't really planned. I'd kind of figured if my brother and I went in half on it, I would only have it part time.
Mm-hmm.
Just drive it and keep it in his garage because he's got a spare garage stall, but he's kind of like, I don't know if I want it. And he told me, he goes, well, maybe I'll just rent it from you when I need it. And I'm like, it may not be available when you need it. I don't know. I haven't decided. I've never wanted to give my.
That'd be one of those things where you, Wim says, get a copy of. He needs to look at his copy of Get Tough. The artwork is pre-Kirby in style, but not bad. Well, is it Kirby? Check the valve stems. Wim says check the valve stems. And Wim has lost a dad. All of us are fatherless. We don't have our dads around anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago.
That is recent.
Well, and I mean, I got to say this. I'm a Christian. I'm very religious. My father was, and I believe that that we're promised eternal life, and I think I'll see my father again one day. But it's still difficult. I mean, there are times that stuff will happen. I was at the store the other day and I saw this real big thick book of Oklahoma Sooners football, like an illustrated history. And I thought, man, I really like that. And I was like, well,
yeah, that is a lot of what you do in having that remorse. It is all that stuff that you see that touches off associations, and you go, man, that's no longer available to me.
Yep, that is not a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The thing about my father towards the end of his life had dementia, and it had gotten very bad over the last summer. and so I spent a lot more time with my parents, and so I really felt like I was losing my father like years before he actually died. And in some ways that was almost as bad as
Oh,
actually
yeah,
losing
that's
him.
the worst. Yeah, yeah. When my mom, it was real lucky. I think in terms of like her final shutdown was it, brought on by basically the doctor giving her a script that just was something her system couldn't handle, and but her mind was going, and so it's hard to say. I still resent that script making her last night of non-hospitalization on the planet a miserable thing. I got up
Yeah,
about 5 times and helped her go to the bathroom,
yeah.
but you know it it it
Well,
it hurried her along. I don't that's the deal about this vax and all that. There's a lot of that
uh,
doesn't get said out loud, but these doctors and everything kind of they're looking at you and they're looking at your expiration date, and
oh yeah,
you've got to
they know.
watch it that they aren't just a little careless, thinking, well, she's had it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that. Well, let me tell you this. I don't want to say who, obviously, but I spoke to a doctor very recently, doctor that I trust very much, and and he's got his vaccine. What he said was, I don't want to say which organizations, but his professional organization of his specialty. Yeah, he's an MD, but he's got a specialty, and his professional organization of his specialty, the ones that license him, sent out a letter to all their members and said, "We want you to encourage your patients to all get the vaccine, and if you don't, we may consider not renewing your
That's the
license."
deal. See, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Did you have
And
any more
that
details on that?
really
Because that really bugs me. Yeah,
well, and I've got the vaccine,
yeah,
so and I
yeah.
don't
You're
want to sound
not
defensive because we've
anti-vax. You're
talked
not
about
like
this.
me. You're not anti-vax.
Well, here's my thing, and you can disagree with this, Ellis, but when the vaccines came out, well, first off, you and I are different in many, many ways, but one of the ways that we're different is I I work and I go out, I travel. I mean, I would say don't get me wrong. I'm not insulting your lifestyle, but I have a more uh, my lifestyle is not as I don't have the I don't want to say antisocial as you,
I'm
but I
antisocial.
can't
I'm
think of a good.
antisocial. But
You're
yeah,
not
you're
around
right. You have you might even be told that you don't have a job if you don't do it. So I mean, you have a more complicated, a more intricate amount of things that go on
well,
in your life. Yeah.
well, I don't want so like Michelle and I went to New Orleans in August, and we went to Yellowstone in August, and we went to Dallas last weekend or a couple weeks ago, and we're going to Disney World in sometime early next year. I don't want to not travel, and I could foresee, not that I agree with it, but I could foresee them going, "Hey, if you don't get the vaccine, you can't travel."
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah.
I was sick. I was sick of being stuck at home, Ellis.
Hmm.
It impacted you. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it impacted you. The virus did not impact you very
Oh, not
much.
not a bit. But it's interesting. I follow this guy called Adam the Woo, and he's basically mentally ill in terms of like how much he loves uh, theme parks. And he was at the 50th anniversary of the one in Florida. He's bi-coastal. He loves theme parks so much he has to have both of them in his ability to travel to them. And his, of course, his Florida experience, here he was elbow to elbow with people with no masks on. And if he was in California, of course, everybody would be compelled to have masks on. So, there you go. You go completely across country and you've got a completely different experience. And I'm in the Florida experience is far more sane. I'll just go ahead and say that.
Or more sane?
Sane, yes.
Oh,
get people together, understand that the way that the virus will be normalized is that it will
all the weak people
it will mutate to something that doesn't kill its host. And right now it's already not killing 99% of the people that get it. So you're pretty good with not being hysterical about your masks and your vax ultimatums,
Well, and don't get me wrong. I got the vaccine. I don't think that you should be forced to get it. By the way,
what's that?
I don't think that you should be. I think you should get it, but I don't think you should be forced to get it.
No, I'm not going to be forced to get it. I'll go the fakery route long before I'm forced to get it. I'll produce my own documents or something.
That's what people don't realize. Anybody with any kind of decent art skills, could take a fake.
Oh, I've already got them.
There's no doc.
Haven't gone to the trouble yet, but I've already got them ready.
Oh, initially, so many people put their stuff online.
Mm-hmm. Like sure, and that's what I've got all filed.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think you should get the I think, but I'm not. We've talked about it. I'm not gonna. I know I'm not gonna convince you, so I don't even want to go there.
No, it's
but
and I've already gone over the list of why it's absurd to.
No, I don't want to rehash it. That was stream for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so now that you have a phone, like a real cell phone, I can text you or call you.
But I'm going to do it. I'm going to treat it just like I treat the other one. It's going to be off most of the time just to conserve its power, and I'll turn it on when I turn it on. I'm going to learn with it. I'm going to start using Procreate and have the pen out, and I'll try some different apps and stuff like that with it. I'll probably start.
Phone number, is your phone the same?
What's that?
Is your phone number the
Yes,
same?
it is. Which I was told earlier by somebody that it wouldn't stay the same, and they were wrong. They were able to do it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I didn't know. I've only called you a handful of times.
Yeah, because like I say, my phone is off most of the time. That phone for me, and I'm really surprised I went for this iPhone. I should have just got a flip phone or whatever. But it's strictly for calling AAA when I have a problem like you were talking about earlier. That's all that my phone is for.
Yeah. I'm excited to get my truck, Ellis. I kind of seeing you drive in yours makes me miss mine, which is weird because my car's really nice. My car's a lot nicer than the truck.
Well, yeah, and you'll probably
but just
put that truck more through its paces than you will your Subaru, in terms of like, giving it a little bit of abuse, having a little more fun with it.
Oh, no, I abuse the Subaru pretty good. But I bought that Subaru. For anybody listening, I have a Subaru WRX 2017. And I bought it with the idea that I would get in lots of trouble with the law for speeding, which I haven't got any speeding tickets in that thing. But it's just mind-bogglingly fast. But on the flip side, it's not a relaxing ride. I feel like I'm.
Is your truck going to be an automatic transmission?
It's an automatic. My first automatic.
Oh, there you
since high
go.
school.
That's going to become your preferred vehicle.
Maybe. I mean, I like the idea of, if I'm somewhere and I see something I want, I could probably buy it and throw it in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of appeals to me somehow.
Well, it's
Anyway.
like I was in that area of Mesa Park, and I put two nice pieces of furniture of a young couple that was taking off and going. I think they were going to Florida, and I was just able to say, "Yeah, let's." And they even helped me stick it in the back.
So wait, you got furniture at your house?
Well, I got a couple pieces, a couple sticks.
Oh, really? I was just telling somebody today how you didn't have much furniture.
Well,
What purpose?
I need to get rid of every office chair I've got. I've got about 6 of those, and none of them are good for the the spine. I can tell you that. I've tried them all. They're all bad to sit in.
Mine in here isn't bad. The one that I worked on the computer in is terrible. Every time I go back in there, I'm like, oh god, I'm glad I'm not working at home.
Yeah, and
So
we encountered those great chairs when we took that. We had the reserved spot in the
library.
The library. Yeah, those were great chairs.
See, now that I got a truck, we could steal a
Yeah.
couple. I don't know.
I sure would like to know if the library does ever have a, used.
Dude, no. Johnny Cash method. Johnny Cash. Every week we go in there, and I'll take my big backpack.
Yeah, and take it apart.
We'll take the part off. Yeah, just like the Johnny Cash song about the guy that stole the Cadillac.
Mm-hmm. It's a 4933. Yeah, whatever. He goes through all the years, all the parts.
We'll do it once, and then we'll do it. We'll knowing my luck, I'd come back with 2 backrests and no seat.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey dude, it's about time.
Yeah, it is time, isn't it? How long will we do it? 52 minutes is plenty good. Okay.
Yeah.
Wim says he was on the road again. He was listening. Okay. Okay. Thanks for showing up, Scott. We'll see you soon.
See you, Ellis.
Okay. I'll end it.